Hello and welcome. Just for a not so random discussion topic, let's talk about retirement assets, and of course, this is just my ideas, what I think, what you do yourself. I think this is a very large decision. One would have to give a lot of time and thought and effort into such. But maybe you're on the fence of considering retirement. Maybe you're worth a million or two. If you're worth 16, why? I mean, unless you like your job so much or what you're doing, I mean, come on. And maybe you're worth a half a million, quarter million, and you're thinking about it, or maybe even you're worth 25 grand, or you got $1,000 or $4,000 that you can invest and you're thinking about retirement. Well, you might not be that far off, and I'm not sarcastic when I say $1,000, $4,000 of investing assets. When I say that, because well, the only way you could ever do that fast is put it pretty much all into cryptos, play the game, and hope like hell it works out well for you over the next couple of years. Using a couple of years assume because it could easily work 4,000 into 4 million, and you could even do better than that if you're a grandmaster. We'll talk about a grandmaster trader, but throwing that part aside, just putting some effort into it and being a good trader, and then you get to the point where well, Bitcoin prices get to 20, 80, 100,000. Well, retirement spots could be available, just as the case could have and should have been for many people at the end of 2017. Okay, then. I got six different assets, and how much should you own to be in retirement? And I mean, it's totally different for each individual, especially when we talk about different countries, because I'm going to be referring to the Canadian dollar. But it can be much higher, much lower for everybody when I give these numbers. But let's just say for an every average Joe with a couple, three people in support, you want cash, fiat dollars, paper rectangles, and in digital form. Where and how much would you need? Well, if you think about just the base, if you had close to $1 million in cash, you're totally, I think, would be eligible as long as the rest of the numbers are suffice. And the rest of the ones is debt. And a lot of that would mean you pretty much own no debt. You got a mortgage, you pay it off. You got payments on your car, student loans, pay them off. And you might even have accounts receivable debt, but I don't really want to talk about that for any type of investment. But I just put that in there because if you're thinking about that, I would have to think every single debt you pretty much have of significant note anyway, if not all of them. Period. Isn't that? There's no, I mean, it's for easy purchasing power, just but you buying with a Visa or Mastercard or whatever, and then just paying it off every so often. That's really never debt. To me, debt only counts when interest comes into play. So when you get your first credit card bill, that's not debt really. But that just means when you use it, you pay your bill off every time it comes in. Stocks. Now, interestingly, with stocks today, you are. I almost would like to consider it almost in the cash realm to a degree. And people talk bad about stocks in times where they're just not good. I mean, stock market's going to crash. And at this stage, the problem with this is all of this is going to be about physical possession of such. And with paper rectangles, you can have physical possession of cash. But until stocks can do something like that on the blockchain, you're not going to really ever take physical possession. Back in the day when you had the certificate, you pretty much did, but those days are long, long gone. But having some exposure to such, I would have to think you probably want to find two, three, four good ones. Maybe consider trading them against each other as well in different forms, but just different ones just to hold and all that type of stuff. Then we got precious metals, physical gold, physical silver, palladium, platinum, if you so be it, and copper and all those things, although copper's not precious, but mainly gold and silver. And how much would you want of that? Okay, well, you have a million in cash, we say, a million in precious metals. I got some funds in stocks. You got your debts paid off. And now let's say you have a million in everything, million in cryptos. We'll talk about real estate later because that's an interesting topic. But now let's reanalyze things. How much do you really need? Let's just assume you had a million in cryptos, a million in precious metals, and a million in cash. Do you really need to have it at that ratio? How much cash would you really need? A lot of your debts can be paid off, and you can be in cryptos buying things that way too. Your need for fiat cash might be going way down, and the whole point of precious metals, outside of the fact of it being an investment going up in value and a hedge against inflation, is it's liquid money. Liquid money is something that can be turned into cash relatively fast, and you could sell gold and silver within the day. So if you ever did need cash, do you really need to have so much given that you have precious metals? And then when we look at cryptos, it's almost the same thing, but for different reasons. Do you really need to have as much cryptos as you do precious metals? Case in point, markets are up, markets are down. Let's assume that the precious metals markets, the crypto markets are rising very high. Well, profit taking is almost an essential thing to do as it is anyway. But if they're not, if they're going to go up, they're going to go up monstrous levels, especially if you can trade them back and forth well. That maybe you might want to consider, do you have a little too much? Just something to consider because its upside swings are so fantastic. Then you got real estate. I almost consider this tycoon, for real estate's an expensive endeavor. So I would never even consider myself considering real estate anything in an investment level until eight figures minimum, 10, 15 million worth of everything above cash, stocks, metals, and cryptos. If they're worth that, maybe I might look at a property or two. But until then, that's not as liquid of a market. You just can't sell it within the day or even the week. Cryptos, it's a liquid market. The precious metals is a liquid market. The stock market is a liquid market for that of cash right now. And debt's pretty liquid as well. And it depends on the debt, not really. Especially if it's accounts receivable. Well, that's just not really an investment. I just put that in there again to talk about the fact that if you want to lend currency to people, you can afford it. So you could get in that business if you wish, as accounts receivable. But you definitely don't want to have the accounts payable. Those are terms in accounting meant for if debt is owed or being owed to. And therefore, let's just assume to the first example of that not sarcastic level, like you had 5, 6 grand worth of asset of a digital investing, and you put every single chunk of it into here, taking a chance. Maybe you got a few ounces of silver, or many ounces of silver, maybe a fraction of an ounce of gold. You don't have any stocks. You have your cash you need to live. And next thing you know, you turn this into, you see that your Bitcoin value goes up 3 times, and the market of Bitcoin is up 2 times. So now your 5,600 is 6 times higher. You're looking at, like, we'll say 33K as a number. And then something magical happens. It's worth 100K because Bitcoin prices barely rise. Or your altcoins kicked ass, we'll say, in this spot. Do you want to buy some precious metals? Okay. So let's just assume it goes to 80 or something, 70, 60 even. But then you get to the extreme point you know is really good. Hence the reason why you might want to, because you want to get to a level where you can retire, and having this number at 100-year long still a long ways away. But let's fast forward maybe to a time when it was like it was before. Let's just assume that the market conditions repeat. We've seen Bitcoin prices go from 250 to 1,000, down to 700, up to 3,000, and then up to 20,000. So from this 3,000 bottom and the break of 20,000, let's just assume it goes to 200K. Does a 10x. Well, that means at 4,000, that would be 50 times. 50 times that of 5,600. Well, let's see. 10 times is 56,000. 100 times is 1 million-ish. But if you were able to increase your altcoin percentage higher, that number would be greater. But as that was going higher, by the time your bankroll went higher, you had probably accumulated a lot of precious metals. You can start accumulating cash. If you want to buy stocks, you can. You can start to pay debt off. As this is just going way high. And of course, cryptos was like this. The 5,600 cryptos, because its volatility can allow it. Thus, why you only need such a whatever percent. So you could be at the point, say, where now after everything's said and done at that point, you've decided to make a very aggressive trade, where you pick up a lot of cash, a lot of precious metals. You could be at the point, I can't delete the 56, but let's just assume that you had 1.3 million in precious metals because the markets were up so high. Your cryptocurrency portfolio left at 250K. You thought that was fine. And you got, you're fine with 250K in cash. Maybe you got your debt's paid off. Let's assume, let's hope that, if not, that would be your next step. Maybe you lowered it down so you just got one debt left. Maybe you removed everything but your student loan. Or just everything but your mortgage, although that's your big one probably. And then maybe you pick up some AAAP, Apple, or Amazon, or whatever else. You pick up maybe something in the area of, like, say, 50K worth of stocks, or 100K. But you don't have any real estate. You're long ways away from that, other than maybe the one house you own. Outside of that, you have none. So that really is the general idea. I think I explained a lot of that well. But it can get to the point, say, where if you got to this, let's just say the markets go up, markets go down. Markets go up in cryptos, that is. And then let's do precious metals going up as well. I should cover that one as well. So if cryptos go up again, you'd be doing the same thing, just taking more shots of what you were doing prior. So your precious metals might go up to 3-4 million, your cash goes up to 1 million, your cryptos you're going to bring down to 500,000 or 600,000, whatever in that realm. And if it goes down, your cryptos, even though you're trading the market, they're now worth 60,000 or 90,000 or 100. If you want to just deposit another 20 or 30,000 because of that, and you realize, well, geez, I sold Bitcoin at this, I could just buy 20,000 worth at this price. I mean, yeah, that's trading. That's buy low, sell high. So there's that situation. And then, of course, when that's the case and it goes up again from that point, rinse, repeat, recycle. Okay, let's just assume you get to a point where precious metals go up. So cryptos do okay. They do its thing. Maybe your 250 is worth 450 or 600. but we get an extreme move in precious metals, and I'm not talking like whatever, like silver goes to $50 or anything like that. I'm in the area of gold going to 5,000, and silver. It's not if it's how it's not if it's 100, but how many multiples in the hundreds it is: 400, 500, 600. And if you're looking at conditions like that, well, then now you might be seeing that the situation that this is now worth 10 million, 14 million, and just like you pretty much did with cryptos, it might be the same thing to do that again. One of them internally could be selling, especially if you're high on silver over gold, even if you're neutral, meaning you have the ratio, then you sell some silver for gold because most likely silver is going to be the reason why. But it's even outside of that, selling silver mainly probably for this example, especially if you're buying gold, or just sell your silver and not your gold, I guess. Turn it into that of cryptos. And well, um, you might not have enough at 250,000 now. So as much as you don't want to turn to cash because it's a bad investment, how much are the price? How much are the gas pumps now? That restaurant you like to go to, how much is a meal of that? And that vacation you were going to go to and paid for, that you just still want to go to, how much does it go for? How about the medicine that you need? How much does it cost? Yeah, I mean when it costs $217 just to fill up your tank of gas, and it might even cost more down the line, but that's that's just an idea. And for yourself, plan in advance different situations that can occur. What would happen if markets go up and down like this? Where would your portfolio value be? What would you do in a situation of that measure? Because let's think of this even more quick or more realistic. What would happen to cryptos if your net value went from 1.3 million to 14 million, and you were worth say 250,000 at the time? And let's just not even talk about trading. Let's just assume you're just hodling it, throwing the fact that you could even outperform a hodler by just buying low, selling high in mechanisms. Do you really think the market would go up 300, 400, 500% when the precious metals would be going up that of, well, as we can see, well, 20 times? Maybe gold is going up 5 times, 4 times. Do you think we would see, oh, Bitcoin just went up 15% today? Yay, it's went from, say, 80,000 to 120 in over so many days, and up to 160. No, we'd be talking 1 million probably. Now, in a situation where that didn't happen, where silver did those moves, then maybe inflation might not be quite as bad. Maybe you can still fill your tank of gas up for only 129. And I'm talking about when it used to be 50 and 40. And even then, it's not even that anymore anyway. It's just getting so expensive. The McDonald's value menu might not be $39.95. It might only be $17.95 now. But if you get to the point where it's $50 for a value meal, how much are the employees going to be making? Because they're going to have to be, they're going to be going up in price as well too. But what they get will be very hard to afford everyday items, because that's pretty much the case in Venezuela. They're getting paid wages too, but it's nothing compared to what the value of their value destroyed currency is. But that's of course if that happens. I mean, then unless you can, I mean, maybe you can research fundamental reasons why it's a likelihood or a favorite or a guarantee or whatever. But hey, in the situations where fiat loses value, precious metals and cryptos And even real estate is going to have value. It's not going to be like, okay, a loaf of bread was $3.49, now it's $200, 1,000. Oh, that house that was $1 million, yeah, it's 500,000, it's 300,000. No, not even maybe. Thank you for tuning in. Have yourself a great day. Bye bye.